go.
Full support. That's the Nothing Personal word of the day. It is Friday, May 10th, 2024. We are going full lover boy today because we have a show about people who are going to have a lot of weekends in front of them. We're starting the show in Phoenix. So many places we could have started. We talked about the possibility of the Mavericks tying the series against the Thunder, how great it was. We had Sarah in tears before the show started, exhausted but happy tears because the Rangers are up 3-0, doing things that they haven't done since she was barely a thought of being born a few months later. I really wanted to go right to Frank Vogel, because Frank Vogel is a coach of the Phoenix Suns who works for Mat Ishbia. Mat Ishbia, who's competing right now. We don't have a clear winner, but we are right now in a process where somehow we got budget from Metalark, and we are doing focus groups. We're doing data analytics, and we are trying to decide who's going to be our next Danny Boy, who will take the mantle as the greatest provider of amazing things to talk about for a daily show like Nothing Personal. And I have thrown Mat Ishbia's name, image, and likeness in the ring because he seems to be an endless fountain of idiocy. And yesterday, that idiocy reared its ugly head yet again, its unsuccessful head yet again, and Frank Vogel got fired. Now, you may not know the name Frank Vogel, but should. Coached the Lakers, you may remember. He signed a 5-year, $31 million deal, and he has served, wait for it, that's French for 1 year. Une année. He's got 4 years left. And the best part is, after the first round sweep at the hands of the Minnesota Timberwolves, side note, this next segment is brought to you by Pablo Torre Finds Out. In the most recent episode of Pablo Torre Finds Out, there is an in-depth 50-minute discussion on the ownership nightmare that is the Minnesota Timberwolves and the fight between Glenn Taylor, the octogenarian current owner, and Alex Rodriguez and Mark Laurie, the potential we really want to own the team. They're in arbitration right now, and he goes through in 50 minutes what I've been able to go through with you guys in stories leading up to that, but he goes into some detail and has a funny little show about it. Minnesota Timberwolves, you could say, have some issues, but they're on the court leading the Nuggets 2-0, potentially have now one of the top 5 players going forward in Anthony Edwards now and for the next half a decade, maybe more. But the Phoenix Suns are an unmitigated dumpster fire. The Phoenix Suns, who were swept by those same Timberwolves, said, all right, Frank, let me go back to tell you how funny this is, because the word of the day is full support. Frank Vogel, he basically had the following quote when asked, are you going to be back? It's so great that the media asked these questions of a 5-year deal coach who's 1 year into his deal, who makes the playoffs, gets swept by the Wolves, and then is asked in the post-game press conference, hey, how do you feel? You coming back? Managers and coaches have been asked that since the dawn of time, and they all say the same thing. It's a stupid question to ask. The question is always answered by, well, I feel no reason not to. I feel like we've put this organization in a great position. We're going to learn from this adversity, and we're going to come back stronger and kick some arse. And Frank Vogel did something that we tell coaches and managers when you are given a vote of confidence or when you feel as though you're secure in your job, just don't mention that you've got the support of the owner's name. Mention that you've got the full support of the organization, that you love your working relationship with your GM, that you're fortunate to be in a city with such great fans, with a clubhouse that you love to be at every day. But Vogel said, I have the full support of Mat Ishbia. What is it to have the full support of a completely irrational owner who's got new owner-itis, who has an ego the size of Texas, and is trying to figure out how to win a championship, except the only way to win a championship is to do exactly what your instinct tells you not to do? I guess you could Costanza it, and the Phoenix Suns would have a chance. So only a few short moments after having the full support of Mat Ishbia, at the urging of nobody but Mat Ishbia. Let me do that differently. Because there must have been the urging of one guy. There has to have been. 4-12-8-69. At the urging of at most one guy, Mat Ishbia said, we know exactly what happened. We put Durant and Booker together. That is a first-class championship caliber team. We brought in Bradley. We love you, Beal. And if only he could talk, he would say, I'm not worth $50 million a year for the next 3 years. But they realized that the issue was Vogel. And this is Ishbia and his top lieutenant, the greatest executive in the history of sports, Isaiah Thomas. It would be the equivalent of a smart GM asking Jeter what he thinks about a team, or a smart GM asking Jordan what he thinks about a team. It puts the ass in asinine. But Isaiah Thomas may have said to Ishbia, oh, this is it. It's not me. It's not me. It's not these deals that we did because I told you to do them. It ain't the players. It's the coach. Let's get, what's the difference? You're going to pay him $31 million over 5. You'll pay him not to coach. You'll capitalize it. You'll write it off in year 1. It's all good. Well, Isaiah, who do you think we should hire? Good question, Matt. I got to tell you, I was one heck of a coach before you became an owner. Why don't you go back and look at my track record? I could take these players the respect that Durant and Booker have for me. I'm your man, George Michael. I can pretty much guarantee you that Mat Ishbia is going to hire a coach, and that coach is not going to last a very long time. And the person that I feel for, I sort of feel for both Durant and Devin Booker, more so for Booker. Devin Booker, notwithstanding any choices he makes off the court, Devin Booker, I mean, I am not here to criticize anybody's love life. It's amazing. I'm just saying that when you're dating someone in the Kardashian Jenner group, you're opening yourself up to the Chris Humphries treatment. Devin Booker will now have his 7th coach in 10 years. Raise your hand. Not that I'll see it because I'm talking to an empty couch. Raise your hand if you think that playing for 7 coaches in 10 years is a good plan. Or do you think that the Spurs plan, where Popovich has been there since 1996, hasn't won in a decade, hasn't been out of the first round, I guess, probably in 7 years, maybe 17 could have been the last time. Miami Heat, Spoelstra's been around since 08. It's a long time. Even the Warriors, Kerr's been around for 14 through that dynasty. Who thinks that cycling through coaches is the best way to win? Raise your hand if you're sure, and believe me, this ain't axe. This is sure. Because you don't want to blame yourself. You don't want to blame the players. So you just cycle through a bunch of coaches and say, we're looking for a new voice. How much input do you think Durant and Booker had in Vogel moving on? Do you think the way it worked is that they had their end of season meeting with Ishbia? Don't worry, someone like Ishbia doesn't do stuff like that. Their end of season meetings last the entire off season because Ishbia is the type of owner who's texting the players, who are rolling their eyes, putting their phones away, not interested in hearing from them. I've seen this. Believe me, I've seen it up close and personal, Michelle Pfeiffer and Robert Redford. And hey, who do you want? Who do you want to coach you? What do you think of that Bucks guy that got fired because he was out in the first round? And I know him, he's good. What about Budenholzer? Let's bring him in. Let's recycle him. He won a championship with the Bucks. Can you imagine riding one championship for the rest of your career? It's awesome. So the rumor is that Budenholzer is going to get the job, which means he has the job already. There is no way that Ishbia is going to do a coaching search. What are they going to come in for 8 hours of interviews with Ishbia? He's got mortgages to screw you on. He's not spending time interviewing coaches for 8 hours, 5 coaches, making sure you interview minority coaches. Horse hockey. He's got Budenholzer wrapped up and signed already. So he's going to pay him. Budenholzer's not going to do it for free. He's going to want more than Vogel. So now we'll have 2 coaches making approximately $6 to $7 million a year. I love it. And do you know what it's going to lead to? Bupkis. Because Kevin Durant and Devin Booker and Bradley Beal, and mark my words, that threesome is worse than Laura Flynn Boyle, Stephen Baldwin, and Josh Charles. Anyway, anyone got that? Is there anyone listening? According to my math, there should be 58% of you who know exactly what I just said, and Coca and Sarah are not on that list. All right, Coca, play me some music.
You know what I want? I want to talk to Samson.
So you want to talk to Samson, getting my ex. I don't like saying that, Coca. Okay, I will. All right, thank you. Wipe it. Get in my Twitter at David P. Samson, Instagram, David P. Samson. If you DM me there, I may see it, I may not. DavidSamsonPodcast.com. Email. Those, we see almost all of them, not all of them. Try to respond to as many as possible. David, I'm sure you saw the news that the Charlotte Hornets hired a new coach, except he is with the Celtics. Do you like this announcement? Well, I appreciate that question. Slightly clumsy in its delivery, but still your point is well taken. Backstory. It was announced yesterday that the lead assistant coach of the Boston Celtics, a guy named Charles Lee, has agreed to a 4-year deal to become the Charlotte Hornets' next coach. This is an important hire. It's the first hire in the post. Is it the first hire in the post-Jordan era? Is it the first hire of the Plotkin era? Remember that guy Plotkin who bought the team from Jordan? Jordan cashed out, went to NASCAR, is making money. Total failure as an NBA owner. Plotkin's trying to do better. And then last night, Charles Lee was the assistant coach in a drubbing that the Cavaliers gave to the Celtics. And I'm looking at him on the sideline. Here's the equivalent situation that you may find yourself in. Let's not even do the personal one where you're with someone, but then you're with someone else, and then there's crossover. Let's not do that one. Let's do the business one. You're working at CBS. You're doing great. You're a producer or a director or a talent scout or an on-air personality, and you are leaving to go to a different network, and you give your 2 weeks notice. Do you feel that your head's totally in the game for the current job you have? Or do you feel like you're sort of out the door and preparing to start in your new line of work? And I'm not impugning Charles Lee or his ability to be an assistant coach. We know this happens in the NFL, and it makes me insane when coordinators get hired and to be the head coach of a team, but they're allowed to coordinate for the remainder of the playoffs, sometimes into the Super Bowl. And the mental part of that is you can't, my Aunt Fritzy had a saying, you can't dance in 2 weddings with 1 tuchus. I botched that totally. It means you can't be in 2 places at once. You think that Charles Lee head is anywhere other than with the Hornets? He's not trying to parlay his job as an assistant into head coaching. He got it already. It's done. I don't understand why leagues allow assistant coaches to get jobs with other teams and then remain as assistant coaches with their current team. Is there a tremendous amount of work to be done to scout the Cavaliers, then the Knicks/Pacers, and then the Mavs/Thunder/Nuggets/T-Wolves? Is there tremendous in-game responsibilities where without Charles Lee, they've got 3 rows of coaches, these teams now? Either wait till the season's over, or the minute the announcement happens, that's the end of that coach's career with that team. I just think it's a bad look. It's not like regular employees who, when they're out the door, they steal binder clips and paper clips and some loose leaf paper. That may be an old word. I don't know what people call that anymore. Maybe no one uses loose leaf paper anymore. Stealing notepads and Post-it notes and all the other office supplies you can muster, to say nothing of all the information that you have about your team. Oh, people have morals, David. You're totally wrong. Nobody who leaves Morgan Stanley for Goldman Sachs brings anything from their life at Morgan Stanley when they go to Goldman Sachs. Nobody. Nobody, when they're a scout for the Marlins and become a scout for the Reds, take any reports they've got from the Marlins system. Nobody does that. It'd be unheard of. It's immoral. It's Friday. It's not that I took my cynic's pill, but I am excited because we are approximately 33 minutes away from the weekend. Nah, we never stop here at Nothing Personal. Do you know what we do after a Friday show? Coca hates this about me. At the end of the Friday show, in theory, we're supposed to, hey, have a good weekend. Thanks for the week. Great week. Great numbers. Great growth. Thank you. We'll speak during the weekend. And then by about Friday at 11:30 a.m., I'm already working on the rundown for Monday. Coca's already looking at articles for Monday. He'll send me stuff. I'll send him stuff. And we never stop. We're always thinking about what's next because that is the nature of the human brain. Do you think that Charles Lee for 1 second is not thinking about coaching the Hornets, thinking about the roster? That's his responsibility. He is the big cheese, the number one. It's what you work for. It's what you want. I find it to be less than optimal that they allow this. Wait to see. I got another one wrong. You think I wasn't going to revisit the Patrick Beverley wait to see? It was only a week ago today when Patrick Beverley of the Milwaukee Bucks did that ridiculous. He threw the ball into the stands, number one. Number two, he told that ESPN reporter to pound sand because she was not a subscriber to his podcast. And I told you, wait to see. Beverley will get at least 10 games. The NBA announced that Patrick Beverley has been suspended for 4 games. He threw a basketball at a fan. Forget what he did to the ESPN reporter, which is ridiculous and against the rules. Throwing a ball at a fan. How would it be if a major league player took a hard ball and whipped it at someone in the front row? Oh, I was just giving him a souvenir. Tom Brady took a football and whipped it at somebody. It's ridiculous. That's at least 10 games. But we got it wrong. I hate getting wait to sees wrong. I'm Jewish. You know that. Christmas is a fun day for me. I happen to love Christmas. Having nothing to do with celebrating Christmas, I happen to love it because it's festive. I love Christmas lights. I love Santa. I don't really love the whole Jesus thing that people put on their lawn. Not many, but I think even people who celebrate Christmas view that as a little much. Like all the, what is it that happens on Christmas? It's the birth. I think it's the birth of Jesus. And so they put a whole birthing thing on their front yard. I love Christmas trees. I love Christmas lights, Chevy Chase style, the whole package. I love the fact that the NBA has games on Christmas Day. I always love that I watch that. Love going to eat Chinese food and watching a movie. The whole package. Well, now, starting last year, I think it was it last year or the year before, the NFL decided, because that's what the NFL does, I think that we're going to play games on Christmas, regardless of the day of the week. And we thought this year that's certainly not going to happen because Christmas comes midweek. When is Christmas, Coca, this year? Isn't it on a Wednesday? I believe Christmas is on a Wednesday this year. There's no way that Roger Goodell is playing games on a Wednesday. Well, he plays Monday, Thursday, Friday, Black Friday, Saturdays and Sundays. Why not? Well, Boomer Esiason came out with a piece of news yesterday that has been basically confirmed that Netflix is going to be broadcasting live sports on Christmas Day twice. 2 NFL Christmas games are going to be on Netflix. So just to be clear, I believe there will be a CBS game, a Fox game, an NBC game, and 2 Netflix games. Are there 5 games on Christmas? Or are there only 3 games and they'll choose between Fox and CBS and then put 2 on Netflix? Or will CBS and the Cowboys and Fox and the Lions, because it's always the Lions and the Cowboys who play. No, that's Thanksgiving. Forget that. Let's talk Christmas. I don't want to talk Thanksgiving. But in theory, CBS and Fox would want games, but maybe they gave them up. Maybe the NFL went out and said, hey, Netflix, you know, Amazon paid us $100 million for one single Black Friday game. Give us about $180 million. We'll give you 2 Christmas games. Netflix says, you know, we really do live events. We don't do live sports. We do roasts. We do Jake Paul. We do those weird golf matches. We're not in, quote unquote, the rights game. We are in the WWE game where we'll just do once a week. Remember, they did that huge package for Monday Night Raw? If it looks like manure and smells like manure, isn't it sort of a good bet that it is manure? Netflix keeps doing these games, but keeps wanting you to think, no, we're not competing for any live rights. Call it events. I'm here to call out Netflix and to say, just own it. Just realize the importance of live sports, the fact that it will drive subscription, the fact that you are trying to make it worthwhile, because you can't just survive on Kevin Hart movies and Adam Sandler movies. You have to, at some point, give the people what they want, Ray Davies. So that is exactly, I got to read you a list. Coca is putting names in my list. Ready? Start now. You say it, I say it. CBS, Fox, NBC, Peacock, Amazon, Netflix, ESPN, NFL Red Zone, NFL Sunday Ticket. Those are all places where you can watch the National Football League. And do you think Roger Goodell for 1 second gives one flying rat's pituitary gland that it's confusing where you're going to watch stuff? Doesn't care. Put the guide on. Get the thumbnail. Is that what it's called when you have Hulu or Netflix and they've got those squares that show you what things are, where they are? Just go through every single possible streaming network and you better get them all. Do you think that there will be a household anywhere in this country that on Christmas Day is going to forego do you think that there is a household anywhere that is going to forego an NFL game because they don't have a subscription to Netflix? It's going to be a world of Mike Ryans subscribing to stuff and then trying to remember when to unsubscribe. Can you give me a reason why you've unsubscribed? No, don't feel like it. I hate when hate's a strong word. I strongly dislike when companies that I unsubscribe from, whether it's an email or a service, when they say, tell me the reason that you've unsubscribed. No, just let me unsubscribe. can't wait for the Netflix announcement. It's going to be so good. And it is on a Wednesday, Christmas Day. How are those players going to feel? Merry Christmas, honey. See you later. All right, when we come back, we're going to review a movie that was directed, the directorial debut of the guy from Slumdog Millionaire, Dev Patel. It's called Monkey Man. And then we've got a few funny things to go through about the St. Louis Cardinals. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Nothing Personal. Thank you for downloading and subscribing. If you're watching us on YouTube, Nothing Personal with David Samson YouTube channel, thank you. Hit subscribe and enjoy the show. DraftKings Network, I think we're still on every day at 10 a.m., though I wouldn't know from the Twitter promotions we get from DraftKings Network, but I believe we're on every day at 10 a.m. Monkey Man. Have you seen it? Got a standing ovation at a festival. I thought that it was going to be this fantastically interesting movie by Dev Patel. It turns out it's John Wick 8. Dev Patel, either naturally or not naturally, became a muscle man, an action hero, and the movie is sort of about he is a fighter, but like Fight Club has evolved into something where they dress up and they get paid to fight. It's not voluntary, but they're fighting. This all stems, in my opinion, from Dana White and MMA and all the things that people love watching. And we've talked about this on the show a little bit, that the amount of money that we're all willing to pay to see people beat the crap out of each other. Do you ever sit back and think, that seems strange to me that we do this? But in fact, we do. And Dev Patel said, I've got an idea. I've got a movie that I'm going to be at the helm of, and it's just going to be all about fighting. The script is about 22 pages. The movie is about an hour 40, hour 50. I can't remember the running time. And I was completely entertained. Coco will tell you, if he's seen it, that if you want to be entertained in that way, just watch John Wick, all of them. I will tell you, if you want to be entertained that way, just watch John Wick, all of them. Is it cool, Monkey Man and what Dev Patel did? It's cool. Total reinvention from sort of the nerdy guy dating Freida Pinto after Slumdog Millionaire, but semi-mediocre. I need to thank someone right now. When we're on YouTube, and I don't know exactly how this works, but apparently when you're on YouTube, you can pay money as a thank you to the people who are creating content, which is a thank you to Coca, to Sarah, to me. Thank you for that. But I love the fact that if you're going to donate money because you feel as though, hey, if you were behind a paywall, we would subscribe to this. Interesting. All right, we'll get back to that. But I love when people say, hey, if you don't mind, donate to charity. So we had a very loyal fan who asked us to donate money to charity, which we did. We had another loyal fan who gave money and asked us to do it as a merch giveaway. And so we want to do that merch giveaway right now. And we're opening this to anybody watching right now, live at 8 a.m. on the Nothing Personal with David Samson YouTube channel. And you may think that I am being prejudicial against the West Coast, but you're talking to the wrong guy. 5 a.m. seems plenty reasonable to have a show. So, Coca, you're going to just choose a number from 1 to 200 in randomly, and then go to that number comment from the beginning of the show in our chat room, and that person is going to get some Nothing Personal merchandise, courtesy of an amazingly loyal fan. So, Coca, just let me know who it is, and we will give some Nothing Personal merch away. If you want to tell me who it is right now, because you could do the number randomizer while you're looking at 5 screens, while you're listening to me, making sure I don't get canceled, and you're telling me what I should be doing next. If you can do that as well, let me know and I'll mention the name. Maybe the winner will be from St. Louis or Chicago. That would be great. I love you, St. Louis and Chicago, and we're coming. Tickets are on sale starting this afternoon. You may be listening to this right now. Look at the screen. We have 6 shows that have been crossed off and 2 more are added. June 25th, we're coming to St. Louis. For all the loyal people in St. Louis, please buy tickets. And I can't wait to do a show for you. Tell your friends about it. Bring them all. It'll be an hour and a half of pure, unadulterated entertainment. Meet and greets after. Can't wait to spend time with all of you. And then less than a week later, I'll be in Chicago, which is our 4th highest city in terms of audience. So please, everybody in Chicago or Milwaukee, the City Winery is not that far away from Milwaukee. Maybe we could help people and get a nothing personal bus. Not the we got the frickin' bus because that's in Florida, but some other sort of motor coach and bring people from Milwaukee down to, maybe we'll try to do a promotion with one of the breweries in Milwaukee or one of the organizations in Milwaukee and bring people down. But those people in Chicago who will be interested to know that show, it is possible that we'll be discussing the Cubs, White Sox, and the Bears. St. Louis, you know exactly what I'm going to want to discuss. You'll have to wait to see. So tickets are on sale starting in just a couple hours. Go to davidsamsonpodcast.com. And also, you can go to the City Winery websites and you can buy tickets. We cannot wait to see you. Nothing personal pick of the day. Oh, Coca's upset. You don't have to actually count comments. Just come up with a number from 1 to 100, say it's 50, and then approximate who the 50th comment is. You can do it because people are adding in the chat room, so I'm not asking you to count the latest one. How about this? I'll give you a number. Make it easier. Who had the 13th comment today? 13th. Coke is so pissed. He gets angrier and angrier and more upset as the week goes on, because who would want to deal with me every day, all day, the way he does? And so by Friday, now, is he anxious about any activities he has this weekend? You'll have to ask him. But general grumpiness occurs as we get to the second half of the Friday show, because it's like a horse who can sense the barn. Like in a race, you start running faster at the end because you can feel like it's about to end. All right, Coca. Have we reviewed Monkey? We got to review our movie. We have not reviewed a movie yet. We did review Monkey Man. We reviewed it. What are we doing now? Nothing personal pick of the day. Thank you. I lost my place. That's what happens when there's no teleprompter. We're live, baby. We are 60 and 69. Not nice. We had the Mavs +5 versus the Thunder. That was a win. The Mavs won outright. We could have given 8.5 and still won that game. I think people are misunderstanding. While I do think the Thunder and that bet that we made for them to win the championship, it's not a terrible value bet. We had them at, I think, +850. Luka has been slumping recently. I am on record that Luka will win a title before Trae Young. We had to wait to see from years ago, and that's still a good one. Love that one. Although Trae Young may get traded to a team that could win a title, so we may get screwed because the Mavs and Cuban are never going to trade Luka. Oh, I don't mean Cuban. Cuban's not running the team anymore. I meant that a team with Kyrie Irving's not going to win a title again. Irving did not have a great game. That said, the Mavs did, and we won that pick of the day. Sonny Gray has been an all-star pitcher for the Cardinals until I had the Cardinals beating the Brew Crew. I should know better than to go against Yelly and my Brewers. Sonny Gray got lit, and we lost that. So we are now 60 and 69. Can we talk, before I give my picks for the weekend, can we talk a little bit about the Cardinals? I want to revisit a topic that bothered me when we talked about it, and it's bothering me more right now. Nolan Arenado, who is a great guy with a great agent, when he came out and said that we need leadership in the clubhouse, strange thing to say, given that he's on the team and so is Paul Goldschmidt. But anyway, we need vocal leadership. We're so happy to have Matt Carpenter back. Matt Carpenter, the guy who's had 10 at-bats all year. Matt Carpenter, it's very hard to be a leader of anything other than the bench when you're on the bench. You need a bench leader, but they generally lead the bench. You need a leader who's playing every day. I still thought the Cardinals would be able to overcome this level of idiocy and incompetence. And unfortunately, so far, they have not been able to. They've got a manager who clearly has everything that John Mozeliak wants, because he extended Ollie Marmol through 2026. And he did that when he didn't need to. And he knew that he had a chance to hire Skip Schumacher to come back and be his manager. The reason why executives do this, and I'm one of them, is we want our players to have the mistaken belief that they're not going to be Devin Booker, that they're not going to be Kevin Durant. I think he's going on his 5th coach in 5 years or 6th coach in 6 years. We like having, many of us, not the Yankees, but most of us don't like having lame duck managers. And Marmol is not making a huge amount of money, so you give him a quick extension. But it certainly does not mean that he's going to keep the job through those extended years. What was unnecessary was for him, Mozeliak, to say at the extension, we believe that he's the right person for this job, and we're excited to know who will be here for the next few years. So it was important for us to get this done. We're glad it's behind us, and we look forward to the future. It's such poppycock, because when you sign a manager for a multi-year deal, it still doesn't mean you know he's going to be there for the next few years. And what, are you worried that someone's going to come poach Ollie? We can't let him be a free agent. He's going to be Ray Cherchet. Look out. He may end up one of our competitors. You never know. The Brew Crew may want him. And now what? Now the Cardinals are having a dreadful year again. It's still the later part of early. We're about to become the early part of mid, but we're still late early. Did you miss that, everybody? Did you miss the characterizations of early, early, mid early, and late early when you're talking about a season? I love that. It's always my favorite part. Don't worry, Jeffrey, we're only mid early. Yeah, but we got to fire a guy. No, let's wait till we're at least early mid. Early mid gives you plenty of time to turn the ship around. So late early, clearly there's time for the Cardinals. Clearly there's time for the Astros. Clearly there's time for the Blue Jays. Clearly there's going to be some managerial changes here. Contreras is out for 8 weeks. Did you see that? Do you want your kids to be a catcher? Do you like that? You think that's a good chance? Become a good major league catcher, make your living? Have I been muted this entire time? I don't understand how it turns to mute. I'm not pressing the damn button. What did we miss, Coca? Did we miss Contreras? Did we miss the entire Cardinal thing? I have no idea. Am I still muted? I can't possibly be muted. Nuggets plus 4.5 versus the T-Wolves is my pick of the day for tonight. Do you think the T-Wolves are going to go up 3-0 even though they're at home? This could be one of those series where only road teams win, and the T-Wolves could win Game 7 in Denver. But I still think the Nuggets win this series, even though the T-Wolves have every indication that they're not going to lose 4-5. Even though Rudy Gobert, new Defensive Player of the Year, 4-time DPOY. Only, what is it, Coca? Ben Wallace, and I assume that finger-waving center for the Hawks, number 55, Kembe Mutombo. I'm assuming that those are the only two who have won Player of the Year that many times. So Rudy Gobert is an elite defender. All of that said, you're telling me the Nuggets are getting 4.5 points? The Nuggets are not going down 3-0 to the Wolves. And tonight is also, we're back to Patrick Corbin night. He's pitching for the Nationals. The Red Sox, you've got to lay 205. Just take the chance. I am. Red Sox minus 205 over Corbin and the Nats. Corbin's won. The Nats have won the last 2 Corbin starts, which we didn't pick as our pick of the day. Go back to a previous show this week where we discussed it. But we're taking the Nuggets and the Red Sox tonight. I want to give you a Saturday game as well. I don't have a line yet, but I want to talk about what's happening Saturday. It is the first game for that flamethrower Skeens for Pittsburgh, who they just called up to start against the Cubs. We had a discussion about it sometime this week, and I want to make a correction. I may not have been completely clear with you. Skeens does have a good chance to become a Super 2 arbitration eligible player. We don't know yet what the cutoff will be because it's based on players and service time and a mathematical equation that is only done at the end of the season. But there is a good chance that he will be a Super 2. It is possible that the Pirates called him up too early to avoid Super 2. But there's so many other ways that players get paid now under the new CBA with that pre-arb bonus pool, with the ability to get full service time with certain levels of performance and postseason accolades. But I wanted to make sure I gave you that correction, that Skeens does have a good chance to get a 4th year of arbitration. His first game will be Saturday night against the Chicago Cubs. And the reason I'm taking the Cubs over the Pirates is A, they're a better team. B, I'm trying to remember the debut of a pitcher, maybe Yamamoto this year, where there's more pressure than on Paul Skeens. And when you are throwing a $103, there's a chance that his command will elude him and he will go the way of Yamamoto in Korea and give up a bunch of runs. We're going Cubs over Pirates. One of the most difficult things as an executive, I mean, there's a few, but some of them we pretend are difficult and are not. One of the most difficult things is deciding when to trade a player, because you want to try to trade a player at his high. You want to understand what the value is for your players. You're constantly in meetings during games. You're watching a game and thinking about who we should trade or could trade, who we want to identify in other teams. The Oakland A's are in a fascinating position. They are total lame ducks in Oakland. They're going to Sacramento next year. The capacity in Sacramento is still more than they're getting to go to their games in Oakland. But for whatever reason, the A's, who everyone assumed would be the White Sox, Rockies, and Marlins, are not. Turns out the Astros are closer to the White Sox, Rockies, and Marlins than the A's are. And the A's have one of, if not the best bullpen in Major League Baseball. Their back end 8th and 9th inning guys are unhittable. And their 9th inning guy is someone named M squared, Mason Miller, who throws like Skeens 100, 101, and he has been lights out. He's got 8 saves. His ERA is barely over 1. He struck out 33 batters and only walked 4. And he's young. He is under control until 2030. So he's got 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. He's a rookie. He's likely, I don't know what the odds are right now, Coca. I would bet you that Mason Miller has somehow surpassed all the people I thought would win Rookie of the Year, the Wyatt Langfords, the Evan Carters of the world, the Jackson Holidays of the world. It would not shock me if Mason Miller is somewhere in the top 2 or 3 in terms of odds to win Rookie of the Year. And the Oakland A's have to figure out, do we trade him? When the A's were going well under Billy Beane, which is as recently as 4 or 5 years ago, there is one rule that is talked about amongst GMs and amongst team presidents, and it's a pretty good rule that gets violated by owners only. Hot bullpen arms change every single year. There are exceptions of consistent back end of the bullpen pitchers, but they are few and far between. So is Miller not eligible to become Rookie of the Year? Is that what you're saying? That he's not even on the board? That he was a rookie candidate last year? I thought that he was eligible this year. We will check that and get you the correct information, because clearly he wouldn't be on the board as a potential Rookie of the Year if he's not eligible. And the rules are very strange about that in baseball. Bullpen arms are inconsistent, which is why we say to our fans, when we have a bullpen in April, don't panic. That won't be our bullpen in September when we're trying to get to October. There are changes. Go look at any World Series team. A majority of the changes come because World Series bullpens have starters in them, but I'm talking about bullpen versus bullpen. Your bullpen in April versus your bullpen in September. The value of a bullpen arm is far greater during the season than it is during an off season. And that's because most team executives believe what I do, which is when a guy's hot, that's when you get him. And he will then help you in your playoff run. So The Athletic came out with some articles, and there's been a bunch of rumors. CBS did an article that there's a ton of interest for Mason Miller, and is there interest of the A's to trade him? And the only argument against trading him is that he could be one of your pieces in a new stadium in Vegas in 2028. Spoiler alert, Mason Miller will not be on the A's in 2028, and the A's likely won't be in Vegas in 2028. But that doesn't matter, because if the A's can win a championship, have a deep playoff run this year at the Coliseum or in Sacramento, that would be phenomenal for their franchise. They're not running their team today with an eye toward 28. That doesn't start until next year, or a shovel's in the ground for real. The Oakland A's have to make a living based on selling high. And there is no higher time to trade Mason Miller than right now. It doesn't matter whether or not he is possibly going to be the closer of a team that could be competitive in the American League for the rest of the year, because the odds are that he will not be. The odds are that the A's will not be in position to secure a third wild card. And if you're going to be a seller, you look at your assets, and a bullpen asset is the most fungible. So for me, it should be a no-doubter that Mason Miller gets traded. And if I'm an acquiring team, I'm willing to give up more, not only because he's hot and good and will lengthen my bullpen, but then I get to say to my owner, and he's under control at a low salary. So we're going to have him in our bullpen next year. He may not be as good, but we're at least going to have him, so we're willing to give up players. It's going to be a very simple trade where the A's will ask for a lot, and as we get closer to the deadline, there's going to be a smart team that will give, because that could be a difference maker between getting a ring and not getting a ring. when you are negotiating to get a bullpen arm, sometimes you have to say to your owner, it's just business. Have a good weekend. We'll be back Monday. Hope you will be too. This is nothing personal.